Pleasure horse, 10-year-old pleasure horse, been on the quarter horse circuit, and she's shod totally wrong the way that this mare should travel. And so I'm just going to give a few pointers here what the problem is on this mare. If I look at, so I'm going to go over here, I'm going to look at this mare's slope of her shoulder right here. Okay, so there's the slope of her shoulder right there. So this means this mare, not a very deep strider. She steps short in the front. It's not that short, it's the way she's made. So if I'm looking at that, that means this foot is not going to go any farther than the shoulder says it's going to go. So this mare's not a deep strider. She's a very pretty jogger, pretty loper, and I'll explain that shortly here. So what we got here is a mare that's flipping her toes. Her shoulder comes out here in stride, but her feet start to flip. Because this foot, what they've done to her, they've taken her heels off. Also, this mare wants to be over at the knees. If I look at this mare right here, and her knees want to rock forward, but she can't because her feet, the angles are totally off. And what these should be is, they should be the slope of this shoulder. Okay, and so we're going to fix that. And I'm looking at this mare, and this is going to case in point here. This is a pleasure horse mare. They walk, jog, and lope as slow as they can, correctly. And I'm looking at this mare here, and you can see this bulging muscle right here. So this tells me this mare's been working off of her front end. That's the problem. There's no power in the front end. It's all in the hindquarters. And not even getting to the back yet. I'm going to the front here, and see how she's toeing in. And they dubbed her toes off here. They set the shoe back in here. She's dragging her feet. She's dragging her front end. What she's doing is she's laboring, trying to like pick her front end up, and she can't. And you can see where she's bow-legged in here. And if you want these legs to be level, even with the kneecaps, just straight down. Well, you can look at this mare, and you can see how this bone, cannon bone here, shifted off the side, shifted off the side. She's starting to get bow-legged. So what that's telling you is this mare's been working off her front end, and so much weight's up front, the legs start to bow out. And that's where your splint bones come in handy here, and they keep trying to shift themselves to allow for the weight. So I know that she's working off of her front end. A horse should absolutely stand narrow in the front and wide in the hindquarters. So if I'm looking down this mare and I see this leg is behind the plane of the shoulder. Here's the shoulder. This leg should be right out here, but it's behind the plane of the shoulder. So that tells me this mare already leans forward when she's trying to lope, jog, everything. Everything she does off the front end. So I'm going to go back in here to the hindquarters, and it's like, here's the slope of the hindquarters right here, this hip muscle right here. She's very straight in the hip. This mare likes to just pitter-pat. She's a short-striding mare. And it's a pretty look. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a pretty look. But if like I said, this is her natural angle right here. But if I get down to the feet here, they don't match the angle of this hip. This is movement. That means this foot is not going to go any farther than the slope of this angle says it's going to go. So this mare wants to stride short. It's the way she's made. But now what she's winding up doing, she's flipping these toes. Goes to show you it's why she's drug them all off. She's been dragging her toes when she walks, jogs, or lopes. She's dragging her toes. She's wore them all the way off. And she can't pick her feet up. And if you look at her where see how long she is here and short she is here. And in fact, this is starting to concave. So, and this is not over here. So she's putting so much weight to the outside, she's literally walking toed in. And see, you can see where, if we drew a straight line down here, see how there's no wear here, but it's all the way to the outside. So what she's doing, she's stepping her, when she's jogging, walking, jogging, or loping, she's literally taking this leg and putting it way up underneath her, crossing over here. And it's the muscle contracting on this horse. And like I say, she's shod wrong once again, shod wrong. She snatches it, right? And look where it's going. Now I pick it up again, and I'm just trying to hold it, and you can see where this leg is crossing all the way over to the right-hand side. When it should, if I just want this leg out here, and I'm just going to hold it here, so she just keeps fighting and raising it up. And the moment I let it go, look where it goes. That's contracted muscle on the kidney. The industry has gotten so far away from, everybody wants to do 58 angles, 55 angles, 52 angles, whatever. You go to the angle, the slope of this hip and the slope of this shoulder, and she's none of those. And that's why this mare has been so angry. And she won't stand still. You ride her, once a horse flips that head up in the air, gets this neck and head above these withers, that's telling you that this back muscle back in here is hurting her. But it's not her fault. She can't help herself. They've made her that way. And that's why it's so important to have a farrier that understands the movement of the animal. This is not about a foot problem, and it is a foot problem, but I mean it's bigger than that. It's a muscle problem. You got to control these muscles, and the only way you can is through shoeing. So we're going to do today, when we get done here, it's going to be totally the opposite of what they've done to her. And you'll get the industry and the people out there saying like, oh, aren't you going to put a lot of pressure on her? She's got more pressure now because it's going against the grain of this mare the way she's made. This is, and that's where your wrecks happen, you know, where these horses get sick, they get sore, they don't feel good, they can't dump worms, they gotta, you know, they catch colds, because the way she's shod, this muscle, the way she's shod is clamped down on the filter system that cleans out the body. It fights off the the infections out there today, which is you know, like I say, your kidneys, your liver, they filter the impurities out of the system. But if these muscles are tight up in here that filter these, you know, that the kidneys filter the feed and the blood, and the liver filters the blood, it can't work efficiently. So that's where these horses get angry. And once again, if I'm looking at this mare, and you can see how she's all bunched up, all, you know, all four legs, they're up underneath of her. She's just like this. When a horse should be just standing out here, front legs here, back legs out here, just comfortable. But you can see there's just a V here. Everything's all bunched up. So that tells you got a problem up in here. It's the muscles contracting on the body trying to protect itself because it hurts. And we're going to fix that.